And here we are, guys. The Dream Team is finally back. Me and Connor finally got our act together, made the schedules work, and we're back to do the next installment of Shopping List. Today, we are going to be going into the £1 to £1.50 bracket. And likewise with all the videos, guys, it's a two-parter. So one part will be on my channel, one part will be on Connor's. All the videos will be linked in each other's descriptions and on tweets and all that great stuff. But make sure you like, share, subscribe, retweet, all that good stuff in between both videos. And we're going to start. I've kind of gave the game away a little bit with who it is. There's no dramatic build-up, but we're going to start with Connor's pick today to start off our £1 to £1.50 bracket. So, Connor, I'll let you take it away, buddy.
Yeah, so drum roll, it's Demerbay. No, so he wasn't actually somebody I was considering, but you can see, well, it's kind of handy that you've got that up straight away because he's recently come into this price bracket. A lot of people would have got on him. Big reason for Demerbay is he really good PB wise last year, but he was one of the ones that seemed to really benefit from the updated PB matrix. There was like stats going about, and he was one of the top contributors of key passes in like the top 5 leagues in Europe last year. But obviously, as you can see there, like, and it's not as if he's done really like badly or anything in his first couple of games. He's got actually decent enough PB averages. It's just he's only got 1 assist in 3 games, and maybe just people's high expectations. So he dropped then from the start of the season, but we've kind of seen that with a lot of PB players, and with him, he was one of the players that I couldn't get on. There was other people that took priority. So once he got into this price bracket, I really started to pay attention again. But I think I'll start actually because it is quite early in the season, what I've been doing with these player analysis things is still referring to their previous season stats as well, just to kind of paint a picture. Yeah. And so at the minute, I've got up his stats from last season. As we know, we played for Hoffenheim last season. He's just moved to Leverkusen this summer. And 25-year-old, I think he's 26 now. But his appearances, he played 26 times. I think he had a couple of injuries. Average minutes 78, but he did really well. Hoffenheim 7.59 rating. Got like 0.2 goals, 0.4 assists. And Hoffenheim in general done well. There were a few players that done well, particularly PB-wise on Football Index. So they had Nagelsmann there, and that sort of possession-based system really suited Hoffenheim. So his passes 56.5, key pass 3.6. As I was saying, he's one of the best at the key passing stats last season.
And all those stats, Connor, they're per 90 minutes, aren't they, as usual?
Yeah, so these are all per 90 minutes, which is important to note with him because he played 26 times. I think he got a couple of niggly injuries. So dribbles like 3.4. Big one here for Demerbay is like crosses was 5.8, and that's because he's taken the set pieces. So he's taking the corners, he's taking the free kicks. And if you've seen the sort of, on the whole, the people that have been dominating PB so far at the start of the season are the kind of creative midfielders in terms of their passing, their variety of passing, all the accurate long balls, things like that, key passes, but also people that are taking set pieces so they can rack up a lot of crosses. And then a lot of these sort of passing stats, they would stack in the PB matrix. So he was one of the benefactors of that as well, going into this new season. Tackles 4.3 as well, so he's one of the centre midfielders that is contributing all aspects of the game, which is another aspect that's good for PB. So last season from that he was average PB in 91, and at the time, he does only have one score over 237. Like his second best 188 and 161. But I think people were looking at the potential for his PB to improve again, and not just PB, but he's going from Hoffenheim to Leverkusen. They did lose Brand, but they done well getting him and Amiri and a couple of our players. Yeah. So he's making an upgrade. He's going into European football, so you would assume his performances were going to get better, and even better suited to the updated PB matrix. So far, yeah, he's played 3 games, average minutes 78. He's still playing nearly the full 90, and you'd imagine for the majority of the season he would be a starter. And as the season progresses, he'll gel into the system more, and you would assume he's going to get better. Like his rating is 6.95, so it's not nothing special so far, but it's not bad. It didn't really warrant that drop in price.
Well, see the drop in price, I think, and you'll maybe be able to correct me because also I'm doing screen record on the phone now, but I'm pretty sure he didn't make the Germany team. And with the international break there, a lot of money was swishing around into international players. So that's probably, I would say anyway, probably a contributor.
Yeah, definitely, that is a good point. And with Demirbay, like I wouldn't even be thinking he'd be getting near the starting Germany, midfield lineup because there is a lot of competition there. But as you say, yeah, there is money moving about, and obviously, if you have a player that, let's say, is a PB performer and he's going to be playing in the Euros, so he's getting even in the qualifiers too. Those sort of guys, they're going to kind of keep a nice steady price throughout the season, which is quite nice. So, yeah, perhaps for people like this, you might see a little bit of a drop, but I think
good from where I sit is like in that Germany squad. I'm pretty sure as well, and I only remember this because he got left out of the Champions League squad. But I'm pretty sure Emre Can got in the Germany squad. If he doesn't continue to play this season for Juventus, then that's a spot in midfield that this guy, if he's doing well in the Champions League.
Yeah, because his career is going backwards at the minute, Emre Can. That's a good point, actually.
So even though he's had a little backward movement this time, if he gets announced in the next Germany squad, then, where his price is at now, it's not really too relevant because if you think about people are moving money out short term because of something like internationals are on, he's not in the squad, then that doesn't really reflect his actual value on the index. It's just people have got limited resources and they go, right, well, I'm not going to make money on this guy for the next 2 weeks or next week or whatever. I'll move that money out. I'll put it somewhere into some Icelandic guy that plays centre back for 25 pence, and then kind of shuffle it around. But see what you're saying with tactics and all that there.
Yeah.
Like, see, one thing I found really interesting about Demirbay when I was putting this together for the video is if you can see the screen now, in one game this year he's played left forward for Leverkusen, and that's a very similar like development that we've seen under Boss. That's the Leverkusen manager's name if any of the viewers aren't up to speed. With Havertz, Havertz made his name as like a number 8, a Balak type. That's what everyone was saying. But he's played a lot under this guy as like right wing, right forward. And this guy's been tried out there as well. So it's obviously something the manager likes a lot. And what he's basically doing is he's putting players in wide positions that aren't necessarily really quick, but they're very useful on the ball. And if you've got somebody in a wide area with a lot of space around them that can deliver an accurate cross, that can play an accurate through ball, that can get the striker on the end of it, whatever it is, then that's great for PB, it's great for index, and obviously that's also going to help them score more goals and make the team do better,
Yeah, that's good. I did notice he played one game out there. So he played 2 from there in the centre midfield. I think he got his assist from the centre. And obviously, it is things that are good because it shows, especially on that manager, that hopefully these sort of midfield players like Havertz, they're quite versatile, so they would be almost quite experienced at contributing in different aspects of the game. But going forward, like obviously as a holder and as any potential holders of Demirbay, you would probably want them to be in the centre of the park, mainly just for the to rack up higher passing stats, things like that would contribute to that baseline. Just be kind of more central to things, and hopefully
you said his average score was quite low. If you look at the 2 from centre mid, the average score is 7.2, and then the score when he did play left forward was 6.7. So that's brought his average down, but his average is actually fairly respectable. Over 7 is a good place to be,
I know, and that's the thing. I was surprised by his drop. Maybe it just shows some of the impatience. I don't know were people expecting Demirbay to like bag a hat trick in his debut or something. Like, what sort of player do they think he is? But one good thing I was, especially whenever there's a set piece taker moving from club to club, that would always be one of my fears. Are they going to keep the set pieces? And luckily, I noticed he got 7.6 crosses per 90 in those 3 games, and he was on corners and free kicks. Okay. And he's still doing well. like tackles and things like that as well. I think his passes was like 48.6, 1.9 key passes. So some of them are actually slightly lower bar crosses than last season. But once he kind of gets used to the system and gels with the team, he is playing with in a better team, with better players around him. Like the potential for the output of these things to go even higher, like it's there, especially for things like assists. But like yeah, from those 3 games, it's a very small sample pool, but his average PB score is 120. Again, that's why I was surprised at the price drop, but I just see this as a real massive opportunity to get on. There's a few players probably like this that have dropped. It's a great opportunity to get back on, I think.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I said it in a video recently, but I think some people are, there's a lot of Twitter discussion as well about PB scores and all this type of stuff, averages and baselines and all this kind of stuff. But what I think people are kind of missing the point of is, if on a game where they don't actually really do that well, they're still scoring pretty high. That's something that has to be considered. It might not be the make or break if you buy somebody, but it's definitely something you've got to consider. Well, the guy's played in I don't know the exact scores for these 3 matches. You can see them on the screen, but let's even say the 0-0 game with Hoffenheim. It's been a tight match, not much has happened, but if his average PB in that game has been like 120, if they were the winning team, there's extra points. If you made a secondary key pass or an accurate cross or something like that, then the PB for that game isn't 120 anymore. It becomes like 170. And then that average a bit higher. So it's the context of these things is what people are really missing. The only other thing I would want to really take the viewers through, and obviously add into this, Connor, as you like, but when you look at this, obviously we've got a small sample pool for games and on the new matrix and new season, new club, whatever, is the games they play well. The thing with PB is people expect, I buy a PB monster, they're going to win every week or every second week, and that's just not the case. No football player plays amazing every week unless it's like De Bruyne or something. It's so rare that people will play to their optimum every week of the month, every match of the season. And this is his best performance, right? So this guy when he's ticking along, it's against an opposition that suits him, whatever. Accurate passing, it's just under the 80%, but chances created is 3. This is the game he got his assist.
Yeah.
And look at the variety of passing. He's got 4 crosses, 3 long balls, and 2. It says 2 key passes. I must be taking the assist out for this little breakdown. And he's taken 4 of the corners. He's had 73 touches of the ball overall. And this is a game where he's did well. But as you can see, with the actual attempted to accurate ratio, it's pretty low. So when it's a game where this guy feels a bit more comfortable, he's on the same wavelength as his team, he knows exactly where the run is going, those balls become accurate, because they then find their destination. That's what he got, 7.4, could easily have been an 8,
Yeah.
Or these passes actually connecting. And it's like you say, it's a teething process. He's new to the squad, he's new to the club, As you can see here, he's getting involved in tackles. He's won a few aerials as well, which is worth points on the index. I think winning an aerial is at 10 points or something like that. So the guy ticks a lot of boxes in that centre of the pitch, getting on the ball, tackling, headers, through balls, getting forward, taking some shots. He does so much. And you look at the best scenario that we've got available to is the 3-1 victory away at Dusseldorf. And you just got to look, well, do you know what? He played 7.4, but do you know what? He was very close to playing, in terms of the overall stats, the PB, the rating for the match, to playing actually much better than that. It was his only second competitive game, you know. And the price he's at now, it's one of these things. I think me and you both hate saying it, but it can only really go up, with good performances. Obviously, that's a given,
Yeah, like I was looking at his price and it did bottom out. I think he's starting to rise now. 1 or 2p. But like like even somebody like his teammate like Havertz, he's had a drop, since roughly the same point as Demirbay. It's like if you're going for these sort of players for PB purposes, which is the reason I'm getting on Demirbay and probably why you would be getting on Demirbay. It's a long game, you're not doing it for the short term. That's more the IPD side of things. And as Jonathan said, there's going to be ebbs and flows. There's going to be games that it doesn't suit. and there's going to be games where they have a real high score, and even like another player I got recently, like, was Pjanic there. Like, look how amazing he done in the first game.
Yeah.
Playing, I think it was it Lecce or something, or somebody who had just got recently promoted or something like that. He got a score over 200, and he didn't even get an assist or a goal. But then I think their next game was against Napoli, and
Yep.
obviously they're not going to dominate possession in that game, and you can see that in Pjanic's PB score. So it is.
Right.
It's a long term game, but you want to go after the people that are going to have a consistently high baseline and average, so that whenever they do contribute with these goals and assists, that gives them a shout of winning PB on multiple occasions throughout the year.
Yeah, because if you've got somebody who's like baseline or average or whatever, say Denver base is 120 or whatever, say you've got somebody whose average is like 80, if they were to step up and have an amazing game, how many more points does that actually accrue them? Maybe another 50 or 40. So then them playing an amazing match gets them 140, 150. They're never going to win anything unless it's a single day and it's the only game on, you know? Whereas guys that, like we're talking about, this guy here, Demerby, if his average is 120 and he has a great game, kicks on an extra 50 or 60 points, there's an extra assist in there, there's maybe a goal, there's more points there, then these are the guys that will capture dividends. And the thing I like about Demerby, and I'm glad you brought up Havertz, if you think, and it kind of relates back to a strategy that I run about backing a team, but if you think Leverkusen are going to have a good season or they're going to do well, Kai Havertz is not going to be the main man every time they win or they blow a team away. There'll be other players that step up and have a blinder. And when you consider Havertz is basically £4, this guy at 140 gives you the same opportunities for PB in the season that we've got in front of us, really, with the exception of the Germany matches. Havertz watches you and he's less than half the price. So for me, it's always about weighing up. Well, what's the alternative? Well, the alternative, if you want it back, Leverkusen and that kind of thing, it really would have to be Havertz. And would you rather have 10 Havertz at 396, or would you rather have like 40 or 50 Demerby?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, like that's all the things you have to weigh up, and like there are a couple of our players, can't pronounce that guy's the other centre midfielder, Aaron Giz or something.
I'll give it a shot. Aaron Guiz?
Aaron Guiz sounds better than what I went for. But yeah, like he's I think he started the season pretty well, but he would be more like a defensive minded. So yeah, like Demerby, he is out of he represents really good value in the Leverkusen team in terms of somebody, who suits a PB matrix and arguably would be in with a shout of win that, as much as Havertz would.
Definitely. And my pick for the video is Sean Longstaff. Okay, so he doesn't quite tick as many boxes as Demerby does in terms of like European competition and all that kind of thing. But the thing I really like about Longstaff is similar to Demerby in the sense that his price has slid away recently. Obviously, he had a big spike in the summer because people thought he might have went to Man United or whatever, and that's not actually happened. But the thing I like about him is, and again, I feel like I'm just plugging all my own stuff, so sorry. But when I ran like when I made that QV checklist, he was one of the guys that actually rings out pretty high. I think he's in the high 70s off the top of my head because he is English and because of that previous link to Man United. He could end up quite easily at like a Man United, a Spurs, an Arsenal. We could easily move to a team like that. And even though with Newcastle, he's very unlikely to win anything more than an IPD this year. I don't see him winning best midfielder on any given Premier League match day or star man, or I just don't see that happening this season really. Unless again it was maybe a Friday night fixture and there was only like 3 games on, you might get that. But the way his price has slid away, and the first person I think of when I see him, if I'm thinking about comparing him with the marketplace and where the demand might be, is somebody like Jack Grealish, who's consistently around that £2 level.
Yeah.
Jack Grealish, the main difference for him is he has a little bit more media presence. He's a bit of a Jack the Lad, excuse the pun, and he's just a bit more kind of stylish rather than Longstaff, in terms of the football world and columnists and whatever.
Yeah.
But the guy, if you actually look into his stats and all the stuff that we've been talking about, basically with Demerby, you see Longstaff here. He's not had a great start to the season, but he's got form. He's only 21, and for the last couple of games, he got an assist against Norwich, only playing 16 minutes coming off the bench. Since then, Brucey's kept him in for the full 90, and the 1-0 win against Tottenham where his score was pretty low, but obviously he wasn't getting on the ball very often. It was just backs to the wall stuff. And then when they've drawn against Watford, he was their best man, rated 7.4. And when you look at the actual, so again, similar to Demerby, I always like to look at these guys when they're on peak, you know, when they're doing everything they should. It's the ideal scenario. They're in a good game. They're getting on the ball. They're having the ability to showcase their stuff. Created the most chances in the match. 3 accurate passes, again, around that 80% level. Chances created, quite funny. Very similar to Demerby in this match. 3 chances created. And then when you look at the passing again, there's a lot of crosses and long balls delivered. The accuracy, long balls is nice, you know, but the accuracy percentage is actually not that great. And as soon as a few more of them come off, his PB score goes up, and then the likelihood of an assist actually transpiring or a secondary key pass transpiring increases. But again, as you look at all the other stuff, you know, he's tackling, he's dribbling, he's winning headers, he's recovering possession of the ball. By the way, in that Demerby shot that I just showed you a second ago, recoveries was chopped off at the bottom, but he recovered. I just noticed when I looked at it, his recoveries was 8 in that game. 8 times he recovered possession. So sorry, a little side note back to the last pick, but he ticks a lot of boxes. And because he is English as well, and the way Southgate's been going, if he did get into a squad, because I've heard some murmurs on the radio and whatever, people aren't quite happy with that holding position. This guy could definitely do a job in there, and the age he's at 21, and where he could likely end up next summer. At 136, you know, he could, and again, I hate to say it twice, but he could only really go up at this point.
Yeah, like I think actually his stats, well, first of all, you know, he is only 21. I think he turns 22 maybe at the end of the year or something like that, but he's very young. Being English obviously ticks that box, and that can add such a percentage like to your price. Playing in a team then that, yeah, they're not going to be dominating, so that would hurt the team as a whole in terms of like stats and PB. But when you take all that into context, his stats actually are pretty decent. It's like so far there, like he's contributing with over 40 passes per 90. I saw there as well that, you know, the type of passing he's contributing, you know, with the like accurate long balls and things like that. But is he on corner duty and free kick duty, or does he just take a couple of them?
I can't tell off the top of my head, but according to this, in the game he played really well, he took 1 corner. So how many corners did Newcastle have?
Yeah, because
he had 6 corners. So he's maybe just took 1 in the corner. He's maybe went to the corner flag and took 1 quickly, maybe, or he's just been closest to it and went, I'm swinging this in. Don't think he's a designated taker, but he took 1 out of 6. So he might even just one side. Maybe 5 of them were on the left, 1 was on the right, or vice versa.
Because I can see he takes he's had 1 accurate free kick per 90 as well. So it seems like maybe he's not the number 1, but even, you know, a lot of teams, they might have, yeah, as you said, they might have people for different sides, or they might have like somebody that takes the free kicks further outside the box and some that take it a bit closer to the box. So he must be one of the secondary or the third set piece taker, and little things like that will help contribute. And he is only 21. It's, you know, you would very rarely see very young players taking all the set pieces anyway. But no, he's done well, and he's got like 1.4 key passes there as well. And did he get an assist in which game was it?
The Watford game, the one they drew 1. But I'm even looking at the Tottenham game. He got the least touches of the ball, which is why he's rated. I didn't even know this before recording, but like I said, you know, it's a backs to the wall effort. He didn't touch the ball that often, but he still made 8 accurate passes, which I suppose is pretty poor over 90 minutes. But when they're dealing with Tottenham in Tottenham Stadium, they're just going to be backs to the wall.
Yeah.
But he's tackling, he's getting involved in stuff, and as I say, he's not going to win. I'd be very surprised if he did win any match, you know, best midfielder, star man. I don't think he's going to win any of that this season. He might get a few IPDs out of the odd goal and maybe half a dozen or so assists, but it's more the kind of longer term for this one. You know, he might get into the England squad. That's a big might. But next summer, I think a transfer is more than likely, really. You know, Ashley doesn't turn down money. You know, he's happy to let that club tick along. But if somebody comes in with, I'm just trying to think of a transfer we had this summer, like a Wan-Bissaka bid, you know, comes in for him. He's actually selling that all day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Never mind the prices that get quoted for. Like Declan Rice, who's a very similar player in terms of how I look at them on the index. You know, they're at that kind of mid-level team. and they'll probably look to make a step up in this, that, and the other. The numbers are getting quoted for Rice for like 50 million and stuff. So if that level of bid comes in, Ashley will not blink. He'll go, right, deal, sell him. And then before you know it, he's at Tottenham, he's at Man United, he's at Arsenal, he's at Chelsea. He could be any of these teams next summer. And then you've got a player who's capable of all these passing, statistics that we're talking about, who's English, who's then at a top 6 Premier League team potentially. And even if he didn't go to one of those clubs, it will end up at like an Everton or a Leicester. He will. He's not going to go from Newcastle to Huddersfield. Or whatever.
He'll at least bridge the gap. Yeah.
So at 136, and again, when you compare him to somebody like Grealish, and there's plenty more examples, but he's the main one because I think Grealish, he's in with a new promoted team. He's playing centre mid. He's seen as the future in a sense. So I don't think Aston Villa fans will believe they'll hold on to Grealish for any great length of time, certainly. But I say there's a lot of comparables there. And if there's enough interest in somebody like that in the market to push Grealish's price to where it is, the only thing this guy is missing is a little bit of media presence. Is that worth basically like a third less or a quarter less than Grealish? I would say not, because you're basically buying the same. You're basically buying the same potential in either player. Just Grealish has a bit more media clout. And
then obviously Longstaff, he's got a couple of years on him, so a few years younger. But as you say, this is a long-term one. You can see he's already, I think that highest point was 185, and possibly, I think that's around July, so maybe that was around the Mayanade rumours or whatever.
It could even be a January. I'm talking about summer and stuff like that. He could even be a January signing. He's not cup tied for Europe.
Yeah.
Somebody like Tottenham or Arsenal, they could just go, do you know what? We need reinforcements. There's injuries in midfield, whatever. And they go and pick him up in January. And again, Ashley's not going to say no to decent money for a player.
And you don't even need transfer speculation to be concrete, as we know. You just need the rumours. Like you can imagine between now and the start of next season, I would say it would be very unlikely if you don't see his name attached to United in some sort of headline, even if it is just a rubbish rumour. But stuff like that helps these sort of young English players in Football Index. And as you say as well, like a long-term hold, like if you were to get on him now, don't be expecting sort of real upturn in price or in performances. It's not going to be breezy at Newcastle in general. It's all upside down there at the minute. Obviously, I think they've done well getting Sholinton and stuff, but it's not going to be a breezy season for them. So Longstaff, He is a long-term hold, and I hadn't even noticed he had dropped just that amount, in the last 2 months. So yeah, definitely a good time to get on. Yeah.
Again, the main reason for that is, like I said, I can't say it enough. If you do buy this guy, he will not win you any dividends more than an IPD this year. That is just my opinion. I might be wrong, and if I'm wrong, beautiful, but I just don't see him winning anything this year because of the team he's in and the position they're in. This is something you're really waiting for. If you can get a couple of IPDs in your first 30 days, it helps alleviate the pressure on the hold. But it's really you're really buying him for his next club, because if you can imagine him going into, I'm just going to say Arsenal, right? If you imagine he went into Arsenal, what would a proper box-to-box creative centre midfielder who's English at an Arsenal, what would they be worth on the index? I'll tell you one thing, it would be more than £2, you know, 100%, and if you've got money where you're thinking, you know what, I can sit on this for a year to 18 months, this guy is amongst the best you could probably put some money into,
Like there's other English players, younger and the same age as them, that are way more in price, and they haven't kicked the ball half as much as he had.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like he has only, I think he has had kind of just less. I think he had 9 appearances last season, and he's already played in all 4 of these games so far. But
he burst onto the scene last year. Then I think he picked up an injury, didn't he?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. And even if he didn't, obviously you probably wouldn't. Like he might not have played the whole season anyway. He only would have been 20 years old, and breaking into it would have been his breakout season. But this here could be his real breakout season if he plays the whole or at least over 30 games. But a young player, an English player, to be getting that amount of competitive minutes, especially when there's others double his price that are perhaps still kicking it about in the youth team. just shows you the potential of how high you could go.
Definitely. So this has been part one of the shopping list, guys. What you do now is you open up the description in the video below, and there's a sexy wee link there to part two. Go and click that, and we'll see you on the next one, guys. Thanks a lot. Take care. Ta-da. Connor, do you want to say bye?
Bye, lads. See you in the next one.
I'm used to doing that myself. Sorry. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.